Oh, hey, we're getting unwhelmed.
Hello, good day, happy Friday, or whatever day it happens to be while you're watching this. And welcome to our Unwhelminar. I would like to start as usual today with a grounding exercise. So, if you are joining us on video, please feel free to direct your gaze to the beautiful, foggy, sunny photo, or rest your gaze somewhere softly in your environment, or close your eyes. If you're driving or doing something else while you are listening and you're listening to the podcast or just listening to the broadcast, please don't close your eyes unless it's safe. But definitely make sure that you are centered in your environment. That could mean center your butt on your sit bones. It could mean that you are simply making sure that your core is engaged while you're walking. Or if you're seated, make sure that you have your feet or your thighs, you're aware of where you are connecting the earth. And when you're ready, we'll take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold at the top of your inhale and exhale slowly. Again, big inhale in, and at the top of the inhale, hold for just a moment and then blow out on a shh sound. Shh. And again, inhale, hold at the top. And as you exhale, feel the slight resistance on a shh, shh. Let your breathing return to normal. And place your right hand on your left shoulder, your left hand on your right shoulder, if it's safe to do so, and simply squeeze your shoulders in toward one another. Press your elbows back toward your spine and really squeeze. You should feel pressure from your fingertips. You should feel pressure from the fronts of your arms and where they're touching each other and against your chest. And relax. One more time, squeeze and relax. This time you're going to breathe in through your nose, hold for a moment, and as you exhale, engage that squeeze. Inhale. And really push out all the air and bring your elbows down toward your hip bones. Inhale and drop your hands to a comfortable position. Throughout the day, I'd like you to imagine that your worries are contained in a big balloon or many smaller balloons. And when they feel too big, I invite you to breathe in through your nose and to hold your shoulders and to breathe out. And as you squeeze out all that air, imagine a balloon deflating and collapsing and pushing all of those worries out, away from your center. And as you breathe in and refill your balloon, you can refill with peace and positivity and calm. One more breath in and out. And when you're ready, rejoin us in the space. So today we are going to wrap up Strategic Planning Month talking about goals. Strategic goals for your business or your personal strategic goals are those goals that determine your everyday activities and what you will measure and what you will do throughout a set time frame. Strategic goals are often in the startup phases of business. They will be short-term, monthly, quarterly, and you will expand out to larger goals or take those larger goals and narrow the focus. We'll talk about that. And as you grow in business, they are often revisited annually. But like the other pieces of the strategic plan, I recommend that you visit that strategic plan often. And if it isn't incredibly clear to you, your employees, your clients, and your stakeholders, then you need to revisit it kind of immediately and either make sure that you are aligned in your strategic plan, mission, vision, values, and goals, or that, and then you would change your daily activities to match that strategic plan, or change your strategic plan to match your activities, because as we've discussed, what you do is what you value. I know that sucks, doesn't it? I would love to talk to you today about one of my favorite authors. He happens to live with me. His name is Joe Cook, and it's one of the rare instances in which we will highlight the work of a male author. Sorry, babe, but this is just the one time for you. You have likely all heard of SMART goals, and we know this was a phrase coined, or an acronym coined in the early 80s, 1981 maybe, and it stuck. So SMART goals stand, sorry, more technology glitches. So surprising, I know. Give my editor time to also edit this out. And oh, look, there's the screen I need. SMART goals, as you're probably aware, is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. This has persisted for all of these years because it works and because it makes sense. A goal is going to have a much greater chance of succeeding with all of these characteristics in place. A goal that is not specific enough, just like the other pieces of your strategic plan, if it could be anybody's goal, then it isn't your goal. So if your goal says, we're going to improve customer service, that is too vague. How are you going to improve it? For whom? And what are you going to measure? The next piece of this acronym is measurable. So a measurable goal will tell you, have you achieved it? How close are you? What do you need to change to stay on track to achieve that goal? It will also be your report card to your stakeholders. It will tell your clients, your funders, your board of directors, your boss, your own self. Did I do what I set out to do? How can I prove it? The next piece of this acronym is attainable. So I have a long-term goal to perform a TED Talk. Am I going to be able to do that in the next 60 days? It's pretty unlikely. So it needs to be, a goal needs to be attainable within this specific and measurable purview. So if it's, I'm going to be an astronaut, that's my goal. Not so attainable. My birthday was Monday. I turned 52. I'm pretty sure they don't take 52-year-old people, humans, with an undergraduate degree in sociology who don't really love math. I'm pretty sure that makes it unattainable for me. These goals have to be relevant, and that is a piece that we have been talking about all throughout Strategic Planning Month. All of your mission, vision, values, and goals have to be aligned, and they have to be relevant to the work that you're doing. So if my business Unwhelmed Coaching focuses on business support for women, but one of my goals as a business is, say, to sell dog collars. It's just not relevant to my business. It doesn't mean it's a bad goal. It just means that it isn't relevant right now. And the last piece of this acronym is time bound. And this is a tough one because it feels like you have to get it just right. Too short a time frame can feel like too much pressure, and then you kind of give up or you simply can't reach it. Not enough. I mean, a huge time frame is not enough pressure. So for someone like me who needs some external pressure of a deadline, because I am deadline driven and because ADHD will tell me the biggest lie it always tells me, which is you still got time. Often that's bullshit. And if I don't have a deadline, I will think I have time for everything else. I don't. This is a really great frame with which to set and assess your goals. So you can, for instance, say, I want to write a book. That is a great goal. How are you going to get there? What is your specific goal? Specifically, I want to write a book about the unwhelming process. What is your measurement? My measurement is I want to write a 20,000 word book or a 100-page book for women about unwhelming. Is it attainable? I've written 20,000 words before. Sure, I can do this. Is it relevant? Oh, hell yes. All of this information in one place, out of my brain onto paper, absolutely relevant. Is it time bound? I want to finish this book and have it published by the 1st of November. Do I have time to do that? What are the steps to break down? A SMART goal will be large enough that you can take any piece of that SMART goal and make it its own SMART goal. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But what I want to talk about now is what Joe Cook calls mad as fuck goals. Mad AF. These are your big, long-term, keep you motivated, mad as fuck dreams. They're the ones that you don't really share because they're kind of crazy. Like, I want to quit my job and start my own business, or I want to retire and be a novelist full-time. It's the things that keep you really excited. I have this dream, you might say, or I have sometimes thought about what it might be like to. So my mad AF goal is to do a TED Talk. Yay! So the MAD AF acronym breaks down as motivating, aligned, deadline-driven, ambitious, and focused. You can see a lot of overlap between MAD AF and SMART, and that's great. That's exactly what you want. You want whatever acronym or whatever method works for you. I'm not here to sell you on SMART goals or MAD AF goals or even the hourglass that we'll talk about. I'm here to say, if there is an acronym that helps you decide what's relevant or how these goals might work for you, use it. If it's confusing or if it doesn't apply or doesn't resonate with you, don't use it. Find a different tool or make up your own. These are not rules. These are suggestions. These are guidance. So what do we mean by motivating, aligned, deadline-driven, ambitious, and focused? Well, motivating is pretty obvious. I mean, if it's something that gets you really excited. This idea for me of doing a TED Talk is so motivating because I can smell it. I can feel it. I can hear it. I absolutely love public speaking. You may have noticed that a lot of that happens here. And I can see some of my delightful audience members like having full body shudders right now, just like, ah! It's no surprise and no secret really that one of the top answers when you ask someone, what is your greatest fear, is public speaking. It makes people vomit, right? Like, if this is what what your response is to public speaking. This is clearly not your mad AF goal. But for me, as a performer, as a public speaker, I just love this idea of getting this information out to so many people in one event. So TED Talks are highly credible. They are widely publicized. They live on in YouTube and on the TED site. And so it's really exciting for me. If you have a goal, when you close your eyes, if you can see it, if you know this is what you want to do, let's say it's to get the parent company of Oreo to restart production of thin golden Oreos. You may have noticed a theme. Let's say you can smell it, see, you can just see it happening. I may need to write this down. For me, standing on that stage, I can see the TED logo. I can see the black stage and the curtains and the spotlight. I can see the big screen with my presentation on there, probably just pictures of elephants, but I can see, and I can see the auditorium. This keeps me motivated. And when I think about getting there, I get really excited, and I love this idea. When you get up every morning, can you see it? Are you enthusiastic? So do you wake up and go, I can't wait to move forward on this? Are you looking forward to making progress? If you're so excited you can hardly wait for it to happen, this is motivating. So if you have a goal that is motivating but isn't aligned, once again, let's go back to the example of, well, let's use my example of a TED Talk. If I say I want to do a TED Talk, but I'm not doing any other public appearances, I'm not practicing public speaking, I'm not using it as part of my business. Well, currently, part of my business is to be with you folks and this amazing community every single Friday. It is to engage in other public speaking opportunities. It's to present at conferences. So it is aligned. But that goal, perhaps, of selling dog collars, I'm not doing anything else in my professional life that relates to dog apparel. I mean, I did see a picture last week of a dog in a green raincoat and orange booties, and it really did make me think about adding that component to my business, but I feel like that might not be on mission. So if it's not aligned, then it isn't a mad AF goal, it's just an exciting dream. So if this is the thing, you may have heard that if there's something that you would do for free and you can find a way to get paid for it, that's great. Or that your best motivating work is something you would do even if you didn't get paid. That's a great way to gauge your investment, your emotional investment in your goal. But a motivating goal is one that you would risk everything for. So Joe talks about a sort of checklist of questions. Does it get you out of bed in the morning? Are you willing to give up scrolling and TV and kind of hanging out with your phone? Are you willing to give it everything? Are you willing to pursue it long term, years? Do you feel driven to work on this goal even when you don't see progress? And will you be proud of what you've done to get there, even if it never comes true? If the answer to all of that is yes, then you have a motivating goal. Running this business and empowering women and supporting women in business and building that Unwhelmed community is a thing that I am all in on. I don't have a backup job. I don't have sort of other plan Bs. This is what I'm here for. This motivates me every single day. Yesterday, I went to the first networking conference kind of event that I've been to in what I think might be 5 years. and I was nervous. And I thought I didn't really want to go. It sounded like a lot of peopling. And that's a thing that has always motivated me to be around other people and other women. I'm an extrovert. The pandemic has been hard on me because I haven't been able to make those personal connections and have that one-on-one, face-to-face interactions. But I was kind of out of practice and I almost talked myself out of it. But I went and it was awkward and I was nervous. And then the speakers for this event started talking about their experiences as women in business. And I was able to sit in a room of beautiful women. I tell you, the fashions in the room were fantastic, the hair, and the whole experience was so amazing because these women on stage were speaking about their experiences, and the way that it resonated with the women in the crowd was really amazing. What happened for me at that event and afterward, talking about Unwhelmed coaching and about my motivation of empowering women, was that I came home exhausted and ready to work more. This was a piece that fed me and kept me motivated and reminded me that this is the thing that I will do no matter what. So the next piece of MAD AF goals is goals that are in alignment and work together toward a specific set of outcomes as defined. So I have this goal of doing a TED Talk, or I have a goal of writing a book. Are my other goals aligned to that goal, and do they all move me toward that end, that beautiful vision I can see out there? If the answer is yes, then you're in good shape. And we will talk in a bit, I promise, about how to get those goals aligned. For your goals to be aligned, you need some sort of point of direction, like a true north on a compass. That's your mission. So as I'm thinking about writing a book, or I'm thinking about producing a TED Talk or performing in that capacity, my mission to remove everyday obstacles and to empower women so that they can realize their dreams. I mean, yeah, that is a way that I can take that mission and I can expand it to more than just the people that I see face to face. I have these goals in my strategic plan, and they are aligned literally because I have a spreadsheet about this because I do. It is my love language. And they are visually for me, literally aligned so that I can see that this is the goal path. Along that path I have, if you're using a journey analogy, I have check-ins. I have, here's a stop sign right here. I have to find a designer to do the cover of the book. Okay, but that's on my road. That's a goal that leads me to these goals. They are all aligned to the final outcome of producing a book. The next component of MAD AF goals is that they are ambitious. Is it ambitious to publish a 20,000 word book on business support for women? For me, yeah. I mean, if this is a goal for a highly published best-selling author, probably not as ambitious, but for me, who's never produced a work of paid published nonfiction, this is highly ambitious. Whenever you are deciding if a goal is ambitious or not, it's very subjective. But for me, what determines is a goal ambitious is, does it make me nervous to tell the first 5 people about it? I mean, after a while, you can talk about it once you've gotten the practice and you get over that fear. But if that first 5 people that you tell your goal to, if saying that out loud makes you kind of nervous, that's an ambitious goal. That is exciting and ambitious. Focused is the next component of MAD AF goals. Oh, I don't know how to spell. I skipped deadline driven. I forgot how to spell mad. Motivating, aligned, deadline driven. Thanks for the spelling help. I just want you to know that I have competed in spelling bees, and I'm pretty good at it. I usually make it to the finals, but today, today it's not a demonstration of spelling. We're talking about goals. Spelling bees aren't my goal right now. Deadline driven is pretty obvious. I mean, this is part of the SMART goals component, right? Time bound. So when I think about the deadline, I think I'm looking around because I think I must have loaned it to someone. Nope, here it is. Please hold. I have this giant rubber band that hangs on my wall next to me at my desk. And this to me is kind of what a deadline looks like. I use this to remind me of my strategic planning. So in one hand, you have where you are right now. And in one hand over here, you have where you want to be. So over here might be, I want to do a TED Talk. And then over here are my everyday actions that align to my goal. So if I'm watching TV all the time and never engaging in public speaking, if I'm never holding Unwhelminars, if I give up on that, then my daily actions do not align with my eventual goal. And there's so much tension here. So that means I need to either change my daily actions or change my goal. If I am constantly producing publicly consumable content, then it moves me a little closer and there's less tension. If I am engaging in public speaking opportunities, it moves me a little closer, less and less tension until pretty soon you're at your goal. Deadlines will do that. They will create the tension to pull you forward. So how soon am I going to produce a book? If it's November, that's a lot of tension. This is a lot of tension, and I better have every single goal up to that point aligned, and I better be doing the things that bring me to that goal every single day. So we've talked about, so now let's go back to the spelling. Motivating, ambitious, deadline driven, motivating, aligned. See, still can't spell. Motivating, aligned, deadline driven, ambitious, and focused. Focused goals are where we bring in the specific component of SMART goals. Are they consistent? Are they specific? Are they the same? So I have been thinking about and planning this book dream for the last 6 months, and it hasn't changed. So it is aligned with my mission. It is ambitious, but it is focused. It is very specific. The dog colored goal, I haven't been thinking about that. Probably could be talked out of it quite easily. Not so focused. Focused goals are clear in your mind. They are a very fixed point. Also, not fixed in concrete. So if you have a mad AF goal and you need to change it, that is okay. I feel compelled to give this some voice because a lot of the time when we're doing goal setting or we're doing strategic planning, it can feel kind of limiting, and it can also feel like a lot of pressure to do this thing, and it can feel like it's permanent or unchangeable. Focus also refers to how you are achieving your goals. Are you making specific and consistent progress? Are you focused on the activities that bring you to this goal? Once again, shout out to my favorite author, Joe Cook, for our fun new acronym, which really aligns with, the things I say every day. Mad as fuck goals. So then the question is, how do you set those goals? And the next question is, how do you get there? How do you get them to SMART or MAD AF or whatever it is you're using? I use two components in most of my goal setting, and I use these because I'm a visual thinker. I use shapes. My favorite sociology and statistic professor, Erica Durkis, introduced me to a funnel philosophy. She often would encourage us to start our thinking about a research topic in terms of a funnel. And at the widest point of the funnel at the top would be the broadest category of research that you might be looking into. And from there, you would narrow it to a specific geographic region or population or issue. And from there, even more narrow, who specifically is impacted? What is the very specific region? Why are you choosing this particular focus? And from there, it would continue to narrow until you ended up eventually with your specific area of research and often your thesis. So I've used funnels in writing and teaching writing for several years now, and it's incredibly effective for me. It helps me take all of this big goals and dreams and really narrow them down to a very specific point. So if you're using the funnels to find out what's your next step, you will start with a specific goal that you have. And it doesn't have to be specific, measurable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just something that you want to do. I'll back up one piece and say that when you're beginning a business or you're deciding your direction, it may be hard to think of just a single goal, or you may not want to jump into the process of working through those goals and getting them very specific until you really know kind of everything that's out there. So, of course, we will have worksheets for you and some journal prompts and writing, but you can get really, really basic. You can go back to my old friend sticky notes, and you can use Post-its. You can use a big piece of paper and a poster paper and big markers. You can just use scratch paper. You can just use a sheet of paper with a specific kind of area of goals in the middle and do really what I call it a brain dump. People call it a mind map. But basically, it's a brainstorming session with yourself. You can do this with other people. But if you are a startup or an entrepreneur or a sole proprietor, you'll start with your own ideas. So you just start with your goal or your topic or something you want to do right in the middle of your paper and draw a circle around it. And then think about all of the components of that. So back to the book. If I'm writing a book, and write a book is in the middle of my circle. And then I go, oh, what do I need to do to write a book? Oh, I need an outline. I need a thesis. I need chapter titles. I need a structure. I need et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when I was beginning the planning of writing this book, I did just that. I just mapped out all the components. From each of those components, if there's a piece that goes into that sub piece, you draw another circle around that and lines to other circles. From those big pieces, you can take each of those goals, each of those sub pieces, and you can work out what are the goals and the components of that goal. You may find that some group together. I love to use Post-its because you can rearrange them. This is a place where you can start, and if you get stuck, you can call in help, or you can, if you just feel like this piece is overwhelming, you can get help from a friend who understands your business. There's a term called thought partner that I just hate, but I can't find. It's just so overused. I can't find another word or phrase for it. So just somebody smart who can help you. I'm smart and I can help you. Just spoiler alert. And you can really say, is this component relevant to this larger goal? Does it work? How do I measure it? You can use MAD AF to determine those big goals. And when you break them down, you can use SMART to decide if that's going to work. Again, if this works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't use it. Use something else. If there is a strategy that you already have that's working for you, keep using it. If you need to be able to articulate this to other people, you need to make sure that you do have those components of measurement and time and relevance. So, going back to the funnel, if you start with your largest piece of goal, write a book, from there you're going to narrow it down. What do I think needs to happen to get a book written? Well, I need an outline, but that's going to be pretty close to the first step. So that's going to go very close to the bottom of that funnel. Well, what needs to go into an outline? Oh, I need to understand what topics I'm going to discuss. That will be somewhere in the middle of the funnel. You start with the broadest and you ask yourself all the W's. Why am I writing the book? For whom? What's it going to say? When is it going to be produced? And you keep narrowing down until you get to your next step. Every piece of that Mad AF goal can be a SMART goal. So for instance, if I were writing a book theoretically, allegedly, I maybe would have said, I'm going to take 4 days and do what Kara Stein calls the berserker method, where I'm going to shut off the rest of the world, go rent a little Airbnb, and just immerse myself in the process. That's what I did. And for every chapter, I had an outline, and for every chapter, I had components. And so every piece of that goal became a SMART goal in and of itself. That is really helpful when you have a goal, say, for this week or month or even quarter. But how do you stay on top of those goals and stay on top of that progress when you have a really long-term goal like a TED Talk? How do I tell that I'm making progress? How do I find out if it's working or not working? This is where the second half of the hourglass comes in, and that is your actions. So my actions are focused on a nexus point where my actions meet my goals. So the bottom of an hourglass, that is a pyramid or a triangle with the point at the top, however you want to visualize it or describe it. The piece that is at the top of that pyramid in the example of writing my book is finish my first draft, let's say. Well, what needs to happen? What do I need to do to get to that piece? I need to finish every chapter. What do I need to do to finish those chapters? I need to have these components. Say there's 5 things on the checklist. And what do I need to do to make that happen? That's what I'm doing today. So at the bottom of this pyramid or triangle are the daily actions you are doing every day. They're the things that you can check off every day, every week, every month. Did I do these things? Those things lead me to the next step. Did I do these things in a larger sense? So did I complete chapters? Yes, because I did all of these things. I have these chapters. That means I have a whole first draft of a book. Check off those. And then it brings me to the activity of finishing the final draft of the book. That is a measurable and specific, attainable, relevant, time-bound piece of my strategic plan that leads to the goal of getting a book published. So I can see that my daily actions every day lead me to a specific outcome, which feeds into my goals. You can use the pyramid or the funnel every single day. You can use it to govern your daily or weekly activities. I like to, when I am having a weekly meeting with myself, that's the most important person in my business and the most important meeting I take every week. I like to review my goal funnel and my activities pyramid in the hourglass because I look at it visually and I say, am I doing this? Is the base of my pyramid the strongest piece? Am I taking action every single day that builds the foundation to get me to these goals? And are these big goals still where I want to go? And are my interim goals aligned to that big goal? So we will have these resources available to you for free on the website within the next 5 days. And you can use the funnel sheet, the pyramid, the hourglass, whatever is helpful to you. Again, I say, this isn't about following rules or following a system. This is about finding a system that works for you. Find a way to document and break down those great big goals. Find a way to document and break down and show that everyday activities are getting you toward those goals. Find a way to determine what you're measuring and revisit it and take a look at it. Every time you make progress, celebrate. It's really important, this piece of celebration. That is a piece that is part of the feminine economy versus the masculine economy. Find yourself some hype. Find yourself some hype women who care very much about you. Share your goals as a vulnerable and honest piece of doing business. And when you achieve your goals, tell them and let them celebrate with you and for you. Find your hype ladies. To review, here are some pieces of goal setting that you probably already know but are worth remembering. Your goals can be and should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So something like improve my relationship with my mom is vague, but take my mom to lunch once a month is specific. How do you know when you've achieved your goal? Measurements. Take up knitting is a fine goal, but knit 4 sweaters for my cat. That's measurable. Making your goals attainable is about finding balance. Set your bar too high, and it becomes demotivating because it's not something you can imagine that you would be able to do. Set your bar too low, and there's no motivation. So I'm going to write a book is pretty lofty, but I will write the chapter outline for a 10-chapter book is much more achievable, and it has that big goal broken down into smaller pieces. Your relevant goal will resonate with you and your intended audience. So we discussed McDonald's mission statement and how awful that was. McDonald's mission statement had very specific marketing language. My question is, what does that have to do with my fillet of fish? So if I have a goal of producing dog collars, I should be able to show how that's relevant to supporting women in business. Hint, it's not. And finally, putting time constraints on your goals makes them more realistic, and it pushes you with a deadline. I'm going to get more exercise is a different tone than I will participate in a 5K on the 15th of May. Another spoiler alert, not going to participate in a 5K on the 15th of May. I will definitely get more exercise and set different goals, but that's not one for me. After you have set those great big goals for your business and you've broken them down, then you can determine where your activities need to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis to get you to those mad AF goals. Here's a piece. As you're setting your goals, don't listen to your inner asshole. Your inner asshole will be like, you're never doing it. You never met those other goals before. Oh, sure. She wants to protect you. She loves you. She doesn't want you to be disappointed or feel shame. And this is an exercise where you will need to tell that lovely, protective, dear soul, I got this. When you're setting your goals, go back and read the chapter and the materials on your inner asshole and really work on just letting her have her say and then gently sending her on her way. You may find that you have some really great goals, but they're not going to work right now. You can't make them relevant to your business. You can't put a deadline on them. They are not right for right now. And at some point in a meeting or in a conference, you may have heard the term to put something in a parking lot. Like, we're going to put this over here in a parking lot, and it might be a big piece of paper, and you write your note down there, and they'll say, we're going to come back to it. And I don't know about you, but I have been to a lot of conferences and events and meetings where we have a parking lot, but nothing ever happens with that parking lot. My advice to you is to shift from a masculine economy mindset to a feminine economy mindset, and to put those ideas in a garden. In a garden, you will plant your seeds or your little seedlings, and you will water them, and you will let the sun shine on them, and you may go and weed them, or you might have to thin them out so they have room to grow. But you're not going to go into your garden and yank up your seedlings to look at the roots and see if they're growing. You're going to just leave them alone, give them what they need, and let it happen. If you have goals that might work for you at some point, I advise you to put them on paper or in a computer or whatever works for you, and address them to your future self. I love to write things down, so I have a whole section in my paper planner, yes, paper, that is called Future Me. And I will have an idea and I'll think, oh my God, I really want to do it. And I go and I put that in writing in that section of my planner, and then it's out of my brain. It's not getting in the way of the things that I am doing every day, but I haven't given up on it or forgotten it. I revisit my garden. I look at those things weekly, and then monthly, I revise them, or I take a look at what needs to be weeded out so that more dreams can grow, or what needs to be maybe watered or transplanted to a bigger pot so that the sun can shine more on it, it has more room for its roots, or whatever analogy works for you. But if you put those future thoughts into a garden, you might be surprised what comes to fruition. You can determine, once you have achieved a goal, if that is then frees up space and time and energy for something in your garden. You may find that your strategic plan has shifted either for external or internal reasons, and then you have room to pull something out of your garden and bring it forward where it can produce for you. It's a lot of metaphors, a lot of analogies today. But again, take what works for you. The rest of it, don't listen to me. This is what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. I do, of course, say get some support and some help when you are developing these ideas and goals. It doesn't have to be me, although it probably should be, but you can have a business partner. You can have somebody that you admire. You can ask for someone's time in a way that makes it really clear that you are asking for some specific feedback. You can do something as simple as approach a woman that you admire with an email or a phone call or a text and say, hey, I am looking for some specific feedback, and I really admire you and value your input. Do you have time to do X, to read this outline of my book, to look at these dog collar designs? And then if they say no, that's okay. It doesn't mean your idea is bad or you don't have great material to work with. It just means that you need to ask someone else. But do get a little bit of help and support for this piece of your plan, because this is your dreams. This is the place when you're setting goals where those really big mad AF goals that feed your vision, that wake you up in the night, not with anxiety, but grabbing a pen and paper by your bedside because you have to write this down. It's so great. It's those things that you could get lost in daydreaming about or talking with people you admire or with whom you have things in common. These are the exciting things that happen. You're going to need support and help for this. If nothing else, you need you a hype woman who will be like, yes, let's do this, and who will celebrate with you. I hope that this hasn't been overwhelming, because goal setting can be overwhelming. Take it in little pieces and start with the biggest dreams and narrow them down. Start with that last piece of checklist and broaden from there. We will have these materials available to you and some guidance. And thank you for joining us for Strategic Planning Month. Thank you for trusting me with your big mad AF goals, and for trusting me to help you find your vision, your mission, articulate your values. I like to think of myself as Glinda the Good Witch to your Dorothy. You have everything you need here in your heart and here in your head, and I'm just here to help you click your heels together and point out those beautiful ruby slippers, babe. You got this. I hope that this has been helpful and unwhelming. You can hit us up at unwhelmcoaching.com, and you can find the rebroadcast of our other strategic planning unwhelminars on the website. And you can always hit us up, hey@unwhelmcoaching.com, or Katie@unwhelmcoaching.com. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of my birthday month. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, hey, we're getting unwhelmed.
And as always, you can catch all of our recordings on our website at unwhelmcoaching.com.